All right, y'all, it is time for Unit 2. I am missing you all, but I'm sure you are crushing this distance learning and that you're doing really well with it. Yeah. So 7th and 8th grade, your video is the same because your texts are very similar and stuff. So 7th grade, you can just forget the parts that don't really apply to the work that you are having to do. Just be like, no, fast forward. Let's get started.
We've talked about clauses briefly before. So a clause is a group of words that contains both a subject and a verb, and it's used as part of a sentence. And we can have two different types. We can have an independent clause, or we can have a dependent clause. An independent clause is going to express a complete thought, and it can stand alone as a sentence. A dependent clause does not express a complete thought, and it cannot stand alone as a sentence. So these are specifically going to be like our noun clauses that we've talked about, our adjective clauses, and our adverb clauses. Now, independent can have some different things that go along with it as well. It could be either a simple sentence, it could be a compound sentence, or we could have a compound complex sentence, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so Darla plays the piano and her brother plays the trombone. Looking at this sentence, plays is my first verb. Darla is the subject. Darla plays who or what plays piano. Could mark the rest of it, but I don't really need to. So then, comma, coordinating conjunction, okay? And then you have plays as your verb, brother is your subject, plays trombone. So the main thing here is we have a subject, a verb, a comma, and a coordinating conjunction, and then we have another subject and verb. So this is what we would call a compound sentence. You have two simple sentences that are joined together. Two independent clauses joined together. There's no other clauses in here. There's no dependent clauses. So it's compound. All right. Sherry and Jasmine wrote and edited the class blog. Sherry, Jasmine are my subjects. Wrote and edited are my verbs. Now you'll notice this one's different. Yes, we have two subjects and then we have two verbs, but it's not that we have a compound sentence. This is actually a simple sentence. It just happens to have compound subjects and compound verbs. So this first one was compound. This second one was simple. All right, so let's diagram this compound sentence. I'm actually going to start by just finishing by marking it. The modifies piano, it's an adjective. Her is an adjective that modifies brother, and the modifies trombone. All right, so I'm going to start with my first part of this compound sentence. So the first simple sentence, first independent clause, which is going to start where the conjunction is. So I'm just going to draw a line so y'all can see it. So Darla was my subject. Plays was my verb. It's an action verb. We said piano was a direct object, right? And the modifies piano, right? Now I'm going to look at the second part after the conjunction. Draw my horizontal line. Brother was my subject. Plays was my verb. Trombone was my direct object. The modifies trombone. Her modifies brother. All right, so the only thing we haven't diagrammed is our coordinating conjunction. And what you're going to do is you are going to build a staircase. At least that's what I call it. So a dotted line down, horizontal line, another dotted line down. All right, and then that is where your coordinating conjunction goes. Now, if this sentence had been joined together with like a semicolon instead of the coordinating conjunction, you have two options. You can either leave this part blank or you could put an X to represent that semicolon. So a complex sentence contains one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So the students who are painting the scenery should bring a change of clothes with them, right? So looking at this sentence, who are painting the scenery is a dependent clause. It is an adjective dependent clause because it is modifying students. It's saying who they are. So inside my clause, I'm going to go ahead and mark the rest of it. Who is my subject? Are painting is my verb. It's an action verb. They're painting scenery. Okay, so looking outside of it, should bring is my verb. Who or what should bring? Students. Students should bring who or what? Should bring change because it's an action verb, the direct object. The modifies student, a modifies change. Of clothes is an adjective prepositional phrase, and with them is an adjective prepositional phrase. All right, so let's diagram this really quick. I actually think of clothes should be an adjective, and I think with them is an adverb. Where should they bring them? They should bring them with them. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Ooh, I probably need to move this one down really quick. And we're going to get to that one next. All right. So we're going to start by doing our independent clause. So students is the subject. Should bring is our verb. Clothes is our direct object. Okay. The modifies students. Oh, I already messed up. Getting ahead of myself. Change was our direct object. Sorry about that. A modifies change. Of clothes is a prepositional phrase. All right, and then we said with them modifies should bring. Where should they bring them? They should bring them with them. Okay, getting to our dependent clause, which is an adjective clause. So I'm going to draw a line kind of underneath what it modified. We said it modifies students. And then the subject of our dependent clause, who. Our painting was our verb. Scenery was our complement, our direct object. And then the modifies scenery. So all I have to do is connect them now. And remember, with an adjective clause, you're going to draw a dotted line from what it is modifying to your introductory word that introduced your clause. So in this case, it's who. All right, looking at our next one, which I still didn't leave myself a lot of room to work with it. Try scooting it back up now that we've got that other one done. All right, when faithfulness is most difficult, it is most necessary. So I already know right off the bat, this is my clause. When is an introductory word. Okay, faithfulness is my subject. Is my verb. Difficult is a predicate adjective. Most modifies difficult. Okay. Outside of the clause, is my verb. Who or what is, it is. It is necessary. It's a predicate adjective. And most modifies necessary. Now this whole thing is actually modifying my verb. Just from this introductory word, I already know that it's an adverb clause. So it's got to modify a verb, adjective, or another adverb. So let's diagram starting with our independent clause. It is our subject. Is your verb. Predicate adjective we said was necessary. Most necessary. Okay, now we can go ahead and we can do the adverb clause. So we said it's modifying is. Going to kind of go ahead and situate it where I know it's going to be easiest to connect them. Faithfulness was our subject. Is your verb. Difficult, we said, was our predicate adjective. And most modifies difficult. So how you do an adverb clause is you draw the dotted line from whatever it modifies to the verb in your adverb clause. This is where your signal word is going to go. So in this case, it's when. All right, compound complex sentences. So it's kind of just like it sounds. Compound, you're going to have at least 2 independent clauses. Complex, you're going to have at least 1 dependent clause. Okay? Do good to them that hate you and pray for them which despitefully use you. All right, so looking at this one, our verb in our first part is do. Who or what do? You understood, okay? You do who or what? You do good. So good is a direct object, okay? To them is a prepositional phrase and it modifies good. All right, that hate you is a clause. And it is actually an adjective clause because it's modifying them. Inside of it, that is your subject. Hate is your verb. Hate is an action verb, so you is going to be a direct object. All right. Now, we have a comma and a coordinating conjunction, even though I just drew over my comma. So I'm going to box that just so I know this is a compound sentence, okay? Pray is your verb. Who or what pray? You understood again. Okay. For them is a prepositional phrase. Modifies pray. Right? Which despitefully use you is your clause, and it modifies them. So it's an adjective clause as well. Use is your verb. Who or what use? Which use. Which use who or what? Which use you. And despitefully ends in ly, so more than likely it's an adverb, and it modifies use. All right, diagramming this. I'm going to draw my horizontal line. You understood as my subject, so I have only one option here because I can't put you in parentheses in the diagram because you're not supposed to put punctuation in your diagram. So I'm going to put X to represent you understood. Draw my vertical line between my subject and my verb. Do is my verb. Good was my complement. Okay. To them, we said modifies good, and it's a prepositional phrase. So preposition, object of the preposition. That hate you is an adjective clause modifying them. So I'm going to draw underneath that. Your subject. Hate is your verb. You is your complement. Dotted line from what it modifies to our signal word. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start on my second part, the compound sentence. Again, you understood was the subject. Pray is my verb. This one actually doesn't have a complement, so I don't know why I drew my line so big, but it's okay. For them, we said modifies pray. I'm going to go ahead and combine them with my staircase, verb to verb. Our conjunction was and, which despitefully use you, which was our subject. Use was our verb. You was our complement. Dotted line from what it modifies to which, and we can't forget our adverb modifying use. Despitefully, right? Yeah. Right, so this is how you do a compound complex sentence.
All right, that is it for Unit 2. I hope you guys, as usual, have a great day and you make good choices.